strike, and the score!
And McClellan, he could go. Burst of speed.
The header, another goal's in!
Heisman Memorial Trophy, Bryce Young.
A shot with the left foot, 3-1, Crimson Tide. We talked about Alabama.
Alabama is still Alabama.
Roll Tide and welcome to the Crimson Tide Production Studio inside Bryant-Denny Stadium for another episode of TideTV This Week. I'm Roger Hoover, joined by my co-host Kinsey Hughes. And Kinsey, it's a lot warmer here in the studio than it was on the sidelines in Oxford on Saturday.
I know, it's getting a little chilly in Tuscaloosa, and just like you said, it was cold in Oxford when what a matchup it was Saturday afternoon. It was the first time since 1964 that both teams were in the top 10 in one of the two major polls, and neither team disappointed.
As I mentioned, it was a chilly afternoon at Vaught Hemingway Stadium. The temperature was in the 30s, and just like the Temps, the offenses were really frigid to start the game.
That they were. The Rebels scored the only points in the first quarter and jumped out to a 10-0 lead with a 32-yard field goal to open the second quarter. The Crimson Tide offense started warming up after that. Bryce Young led the Tide down the field 80 yards as he capped off a drive with a 19-yard touchdown pass to Jermaine Burton.
After a Crimson Tide fumble, the Rebels capitalized with another touchdown to go back on top by 10, 17-7. But with 3 minutes left to go in the half, the Tide recovered a fumble of their own, and Bryce Young made the Rebels pay. A huge momentum swing in the game as Young found tight end Cameron Latu in the end zone for the score to make it just a 3-point game at the half, as Ole Miss led 17-14.
Alabama tied the game to open the second half with a 39-yard field goal from Will Reichert. The Rebels drove 75 yards to retake the lead, but the Crimson Tide answered with a 75-yard drive of their own as Bryce Young made a fantastic play. Rolling out to the right, he gives the defender a little juke, then connected with Ja'Cory Brooks in the end zone for the score. Wow, what a play by Bryce, throwing it in the only spot he can for the score. That tied the game at 24. The Crimson Tide dominated the second half, limiting the Rebels to just one score. Will Reichert kicked the go-ahead field goal on the Crimson Tide's first drive of the fourth quarter. He added another with 4 minutes to play to give Alabama the 30-24 lead. That proved to be the difference as forced Ole Miss to have to score a touchdown and not be able to convert it with a field goal. The Rebels had one last chance to win the game. 3rd and 10 from the 14, Byron Young powered through Ole Miss's defense for his second sack of the game. Then the final play, 4th and 16, and Brian Branch couldn't have played it any better. Big-time players make big-time plays, and Branch tipped it away at the last second to preserve the win for the Crimson Tide. A hard-fought victory, but Bama came out on top in Oxford over the 11th-ranked Ole Miss Rebels, 30-24.
We had to overcome a lot of adversity in the game. We didn't get off to a great start, but the players just kept playing one play at a time and made the plays in the end of the game that we needed to make. So Jason McClellan, offensive line stepped up in the second half. Defense had some big stops. They only scored once in the second half. Got to stop when we needed to. So thought Bryce did a really good job of managing the game today. You know, it was a tough night in a lot of ways, but a great night for us because I think we took a step in the right direction as a football team, and I'm really proud of our guys for the way they competed in the game.
A big second half performance from the Crimson Tide and a big performance in the game by defensive lineman Byron Young. Young was honored as the SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week. Young tied for the team lead with a career-high 11 tackles. He also had 2 sacks, 2 quarterback pressures, a pass breakup, and a forced fumble. With Young being from Mississippi, I'd say he had a pretty good game in his return back to the Magnolia State.
Absolutely. How about the man from Hoover, Alabama, Will Reichert? He was clutch in the game for the Crimson Tide, connecting on all 3 of his field goal attempts and his 3 extra points. Reichert connected on field goals of 23, 39, and 49 yards in the Tide's 30-24 win.
Coach Saban and the coaching staff announced their players of the week, and they selected 11 this week. And Roger, did you see that pancake block by Emil Ekiyor Jr.? That helped him earn a spot on the list as he had a team best 3 knockdown blocks in the game. Jace McClellan rushed a career-high 19 times for 84 yards, and Bryce Young had 3 touchdowns and 209 passing yards.
The Alabama defense played with attitude, especially in the second half. Leading that group was Byron Young up front, along with Will Anderson Jr., who had a sack and 4 tackles. Brian Branch had that huge pass breakup on the final play of the game, and DeMarco Helms tied for the team high with 11 tackles, and Henry To'o had 7 tackles.
And on special teams, along with kicker Will Reichert, punter James Burnip and Malachi Moore were selected. It's Thanksgiving next week, Roger, and you know what that means. It means it is Iron Bowl week. This week's Iron Bowl will be played in Bryant-Denny Stadium next Saturday.
Can't wait, Kinsey. We found out the game time for the week for the 87th edition of the Iron Bowl, and it will be the SEC on CBS Game of the Week. Kickoff will take place at 2:30 next Saturday. A great way to finish out the regular season at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Oh, that's so exciting, Roger. That's going to be such a great atmosphere, and it'll be senior day as well. So what a big day for the Crimson Tide seniors.
Certainly, and it was a big day on Sunday for former Crimson Tide players. Let's take a look at our Crimson Tide and the NFL Players of the Week.
Once again, starting off with the man in Miami. Tua Tagovailoa had a big game for the Dolphins. Tua completed 25 of 32 for 285 yards with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions in the Dolphins' 39-17 win over the Cleveland Browns.
And Julio Jones scored his first touchdown as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer on Sunday. It also happened to be the first ever NFL touchdown scored in Germany. Jones' touchdown reception from Tom Brady helped Tampa Bay defeat Seattle 21-16.
Crimson Tide is international, and Levi Wallace had a huge play in the Pittsburgh Steelers win over the New Orleans Saints. Up 10 with just under 5 minutes to play, Wallace intercepted Andy Dalton, sealing the victory for the Steelers. Wallace also had 5 tackles and 2 pass deflections in the win. Big games from those 3, Roger, and the Tide also had a trio of running backs with big performances, as well as Brian Robinson Jr., Josh Jacobs, and Najee Harris all had nice performances this past week.
You also know it was a nice performance, Kinsey, that second half for the Crimson Tide this past week in Oxford. Before we go to break, let's take an all-access look back at Alabama's 30-24 win over the Ole Miss Rebels in Oxford.
Saturday matinee between the Crimson Tide of Alabama and the Rebels of Ole Miss.
Everybody here has got to make it personal to impose your will on the guy across from you. Define your identity as a football player and our identity as a football team. Let's go! We only need God!
4th and 2. Handoff up the middle. Stop! Shy of the mark. The Bama defense comes up big. Gets the shotgun snap, looks, throws downfield. Catch made, Latu. First down, Alabama. So Ole Miss grabs the lead late in this first quarter.
The play fake, the throw over the middle, hits some traffic. Almost intercepted from the right hash. Up and good.
The slant catch is made. Touchdown, Alabama. Jermaine Burton makes the grab.
It's going to be a toss sweep that way to Zach Evans. And Evans, the ball came out at the very end.
In the pocket, stepping up. Now he wants to run. He's got room. Inside the 15, inside the 5. Spinning down at the 3-yard line. Looking, throwing, caught. Touchdown, Cameron Latu. Half ends, and it's 17-14. Rebels.
Keep playing one play at a time until we get this right. All right, we're going to win this game now. All right, everybody got to be all in.
Pressure coming up the middle. Somehow escaping is Young. Swings it out right side. Brooks makes a man miss. 45, 40, 35, 30. Bumped out of bounds. A 39-yard kick from Riker. Snap, spot, and kick. All perfect. Play action by Dart. Pressure coming up the middle, and he goes down. Sacked by Will Anderson at the 45. And off right side goes to McClellan. Fighting, churning, driving the legs, pushing the pile. First down, Alabama. Down inside the 20-yard line of the Rebels. He will pump fake. He'll throw it. Back of the end zone. Catch made. Brooks. Touchdown, Alabama. They'll hand it off. Judkins nowhere to go. A loss of 3 on the play. Young getting the snap, handing it off. McClellan left side, pushing forward to the 20 and down to the 19. Quarterback draw, nowhere to go. He goes down. Young with the sack. Bama forcing the 3 and out from the Rebels after taking the lead for the first time today. Waiting, snap, spot kick, plenty of leg. It's up. It is good. Looking, firing, up in the air, knocked away, incomplete. Brian Branch knocked it away from Mingo, and Alabama turns away the Rebels.
Tide TV This Week is presented by the University of Alabama, where legends are made. Ford, for great offers on F-150, see your local Ford dealer. Proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide.
Somebody stop me, I'm on a groove.
There you see the Crimson Tide ready to go.
Go.
Campbell down in Alabama. There's Jacobs.
Taken by Layla Smith.
Down and Alabama's back on top. Blocked by Jacobs. And blocked
for Alabama. They need him serving drop.
Are you kidding me?
Ray. And a point for Alabama on a long rally.
Move.
Welcome to a sold-out Coleman Coliseum in Tuscaloosa.
Players play, tough players win championships. If we're blue-collar basketball, we're winning this game. Okay, if you play harder than them, you win the game.
Roll, Tide, roll is exactly doing that. It's hard to hear yourself in here.
The buzzer sounds, and Bama hangs on. Oh, my goodness!
Welcome back to Tide TV This Week. What a season it's been so far for the Alabama soccer program. Coach Wes Hart's squad have shattered several school records and accomplished many program firsts.
Another first happened this past Friday night as the #1 seed Crimson Tide hosted an NCAA tournament game for the first time in program history.
Alabama took on Jackson State from the SWAC in the opening round of the NCAA tournament, and it was all Crimson Tide. Get this, 8 different players scored a goal for Alabama as the Tide scored a season-high 9 goals in all. Riley Parker led the Tide with 2 goals on the night, including the game winner just under 15 minutes into the match. Parker also set a school record with her 16th goal of the season, the most in a single season in Alabama history.
Felicia Knox had 3 assists in the game to make it 19 on the season, as she also broke the career assist record at Alabama with 24. McKinley Crone also made 3 saves for her 10th shutout of the season and the 21st of her career, tying the program record for single-season shutouts. Alabama advanced to the second round of the NCAA tournament with a 9-0 win over Jackson State.
It was the 20th win on the season for the Crimson Tide as Alabama improved to 22-1 on the year. The Crimson Tide now moves on to the second round where the Tide will host 8 seed Portland on Friday night at 6 o'clock.
With the win, the #1 seed Tide will take on the winner of Brown and UC Irvine on Sunday at 1 p.m. Also competing in the NCAA championships are the Alabama men and women's cross-country teams.
That's right, Roger. Both men and women competed at the NCAA South Regional Championships this past Friday in Huntsville. The top 2 men and women's teams received automatic berths to the NCAA championship.
The women dominated the field as they captured the South Region Championship, finishing with 4 of the top 5 individual spots. Morris Tenisma led the Tide with a second-place finish, while Hilda Olumoy and Mercy Schellingott finished 3rd and 4th, within a half-second behind Tenisma.
Victor Kiprop took first place in the men's race, outpacing the next runner by 7 whole seconds. The men would finish 3rd, just 4 points behind second-place Ole Miss. But the men received an at-large bid to the NCAA championships, so both the men and the women's teams will be competing for the NCAA championships on November 19th in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
And congratulations to Coach Waters and the Crimson Tide as they received several honors from the Southeastern Conference this week. Head coach Dan Waters was named the SEC Coach of the Year, Hilda Olumoy was named the SEC Freshman Runner of the Year, and Victor Kiprop earned SEC Men's Runner of the Year honors.
Huge congratulations to both soccer and cross-country teams. It has been an amazing year already for all 3 teams.
Absolutely, and the Alabama football team is back in Bryant-Denny Stadium this weekend. We'll have a preview of the Tide's matchup with the Governors when we return.
Tide TV This Week is presented by Ford. For great offers on F-150, see your local Ford dealer. Proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide. The University of Alabama, where legends are made.
Welcome to a sold-out Coleman Coliseum in Tuscaloosa.
If we're blue-collar basketball, we're winning this game.
The buzzer sounds, and Bama hangs on. Oh, my goodness!
Yeah, go.
Riding in, play up, play up in!
We need a huge crowd to pack Coleman Coliseum.
Davis with the spin on the layup.
Right to the basket, lays it up, lays it in despite the contact. What? You better hush your mouth, girl.
Stop it, Brittany.
Welcome back to TideTV This Week. After a big road win in Oxford for the 11th ranked Ole Miss Rebels, the 9th ranked Crimson Tide gets to be back at home at Bryant-Denny Stadium this weekend.
Yes, they do, and Alabama will take on Austin Peay on Saturday morning. For a preview of this week's matchup between the Crimson Tide and the Governors, our Christopher England joins us now. Christopher?
Alabama will take on Austin Peay for the first time in program history. The Governors from Clarksville, Tennessee will be the Tide's final non-conference matchup before next week's Iron Bowl. Austin Peay enters the matchup 7-3 and 3-2 in the ASUN Conference. The Governors are just outside the top 25 in the FCS as the first team receiving votes. Austin Peay knocked off then 16th ranked Eastern Kentucky in Week 5, 31-20.
You know, Scotty Walden does a really good job there. For FCS, you know, these guys are ranked, you know, in the top part of their division and just about everything they do.
In his third season as head coach, Scotty Walden is 17-10 as the Governors' head coach. Although Austin Peay has never faced Alabama, their head coach has. Walden was on the Southern Miss Golden Eagles staff back in 2019 when they made the trip to Bryant-Denny. In that matchup, the Crimson Tide won 49-7. Prior to becoming the head coach at Austin Peay, Walden was the interim head coach and co-offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach at Southern Miss. Austin Peay is 13th in the FCS in total offense, averaging over 450 yards per game. Leading the Governors' offense is Mike DeLello. DeLello is second in the ASUN with 230 passing yards per game with 21 touchdowns.
They average 450 yards a game on offense with a lot of balance. Quarterback does a really good job with them. Number 10, McCray, is a really explosive player that they do a good job of utilizing his talents.
His favorite target, Dre McCray, leads the ASUN, averaging 93 receiving yards per game. McCray has 64 receptions for 929 yards with 9 touchdowns on the season. Led by C.J. Evans Jr., the Governors are 19th in the FCS with over 202 rushing yards per game. Evans is 5th in the ASUN with 590 rushing yards on the year. On defense, Austin Peay leads the ASUN, allowing just over 21 points per game. Antoine Williams is second in the ASUN with 81 tackles on the year. The Alabama special teams will have to keep an eye on the Governors' key returner, Cam Thomas. The Birmingham native has already returned 2 kicks for touchdowns this year, a punt return for 92 yards, and a kickoff return for 94. For the Crimson Tide, this is an opportunity to build off last week's win over number 11 Ole Miss and finish the season strong.
You know, look, we need to prepare for this game like any other game that we play. We need to be ready to play well. They have enough people on their team to be able to take advantage of any lack of execution, and certainly we want to focus on us being able to execute, you know, in a really positive way and try to build on the momentum of, you know, having a good second half and improving to finish the season.
It's going to be an early one in Bryant-Denny on Saturday. Kickoff is scheduled for 11 o'clock. The game will be broadcast on SEC Network Plus. Stay with us. We'll have more Tide TV This Week coming up next.
Somebody stop me, I'm on a groove.
There you see the Crimson Tide ready to go.
Go.
Campbell down in Alabama. There's Jacobs.
Taken by Layla Smith.
Down and Alabama's back on top. Blocked by Jacobs. And blocked for
Alabama, they need a service record.
Are you kidding me?
Ray. And a point for Alabama on a long rally.
Move.
Try it again. Play up up. Play up in.
We need a huge crowd to pack Coleman Coliseum.
Davis with the spin on the layup.
Right to the basket. Lays it up. Plays it in despite the contact.
What?
You better hush your mouth, girl.
Stop it, Brittany.
Welcome back. Basketball season is in full swing, Kinsey, and this past week, both the men and women's teams are on the road.
That's right. The 18th ranked Crimson Tide men were in Mobile on Tuesday night as Alabama took on South Alabama in their first road game of the season. Starting it off, Brandon Miller was hot starting off the game, scoring 8 of the Tide's first 12 points as the Crimson Tide held a 32-22 lead at the half. In the second half, Alabama increased their lead to 20, 59-39, with just under 7.5 minutes to play.
And it was great to see Javon Quinterly back out on the floor as he made his return from an ACL injury that he suffered in last year's NCAA tournament. South Alabama didn't give up as they were able to cut the deficit to single digits late in the game, but the Crimson Tide were too strong in the end as Alabama defeated South Alabama in Mobile 65-55.
Brandon Miller led the Crimson Tide in scoring with 19 points as he added 8 rebounds and 3 assists. Noah Clowney had 15 rebounds on the night to go along with 3 blocks and 8 points.
The Alabama women's basketball team fell to South Florida on Wednesday night, 67-59. The Tide led at halftime 29-22, but the Bulls used a big third period where they outscored the Crimson Tide 21-9 for the difference in the game. Alabama actually shot on pace with South Florida, but the Bulls out-rebounded the Crimson Tide 46-30. Jemiah Mingo Young led Alabama with 14 points, while Hannah Barber added 11 and Aaliyah Nye had 10.
The Alabama volleyball team was back in Foster Auditorium this past weekend as the Crimson Tide hosted the South Carolina Gamecocks for 2 matches on Friday and Saturday.
The Crimson Tide fell to the Gamecocks in 3 sets on Friday, but the Tide returned the favor on Saturday. All 3 sets were extremely close, but Alabama won all 3, sweeping South Carolina for their first win against the Gamecocks at home since 2017. The 3-set win was Alabama's 4th sweep of the season and 2nd in SEC play.
Abby Marjama had 2 aces, and she's now just 5 away from the Alabama single-season record. Emily Janik posted her 11th double-double of the season as she finished with 35 assists and 13 digs. Don't go anywhere. We'll have our plays and players of the week coming up in just 90 seconds.
Right again. Play up up. Play up in.
We need a huge crowd to pack Coleman Coliseum.
Davis with the spin on the layup.
Right to the basket. Lays it up. Lays it in despite the contact. You better hush your mouth, girl.
Stop it, Brittany. Welcome to a sold-out Coleman Coliseum in Tuscaloosa.
Players play, tough players win championships. If we're blue-collar basketball, we're winning this game. Okay, if you play harder than them, you win the game.
Roll is exactly doing that. It's hard to hear yourself in here.
The buzzer sounds, and Bama hangs on. Oh, my goodness.
Young, looking, throwing, caught, touchdown. Cameron Latu.
To his right, he'll roll. He will pump fake, he'll throw it. Back of the end zone, catch made.
Brooks, touchdown Alabama. Looking, firing, up in the air, knocked away, incomplete, and Alabama turns away the Rebels.
And Alabama will get a resounding first-round win to start off the 2022 NCAA tournament. 9-0 for the 1 seed over Jackson State.
Welcome back to TideTV This Week. So those are our ATI plays of the week. Now let's take a look at our players of the week brought to you by Legacy of Hope. Byron Young led the Alabama defense, tying for the team lead 11 career-high tackles. The SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week also had 2 sacks, one for a loss of 9 yards, and the other was huge on 3rd and 14 with 53 seconds remaining in the game. Young also forced a fumble that was big and changed the momentum right before the half.
Victor Kiprop remained undefeated on the season as he won his 5th straight race to capture the men's title at the NCAA South Regional Championships in Huntsville. Kiprop was also named the SEC Men's Runner of the Year.
And Ola Peacock won the Tusca-Bama Cup Tournament Championship this past Monday by defeating her teammate, Loudmilla Benchek, by matching scores of 6-4 in the final. Congratulations to our Legacy of Hope Players of the Week. It's been an exciting fall for Tuscaloosa and a lot more to come, right, Roger?
Yeah, 2 big football games at home coming up, and we're going to be covering that, of course, right back here on TideTV This Week. Hope you join us next week.
Thank you guys for watching. Have a great week, and roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
This has been a presentation from Learfield,